Well, good day. So, for this video, we're gonna go back to the arcade and talk about the first cartoon appearance of Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. So, alright, let's go.
Yeah! So, we start off in Pac-Land, which kind of looks like a cross between the Jetsons and Dr. Seuss. You know, it's fancy and whimsical. But Pac-Man is being chased around town by 4 villainous ghosts: Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. And worse yet, Pac-Man has no power pellets. He's running on empty. The ghosts lead him towards a very easily avoidable trap, which was made by their ghost buddy, Sue, which launches Pac-Man in the air like a rocket. And once Pac-Man lands, like he's totally screwed. He's cornered by these ghosts. Luckily, Miss Pac-Man, should I say Pepper Pac-Man, shows up and saves his Pac-Bacon. I don't know how, really, it's still 5 against 2. Those odds are not good. Well, no, I guess the odds are in your favor when you have an abundance of power pellets. The Pac lovers power up and turn all of these ghosts into eyeballs. Yay! The ghosts retreat back to their headquarters where they have to deal with their menacing boss, Mezmeron. This Mezmeron guy wants to get all of the power from the power pellets so he can rule over the land. And he is pretty sick and tired of the ghost goons constantly failing him. So Mezmeron thinks of a plan that even these ghostly screw-ups can't screw up, which is kidnap the president of Pac-Land and exchange him for the location of the Power Forest, which houses all of the power pellets. So the ghoulish quintet go to the Yellow House, where they break in and put the Pac-President in jail. That seemed way too easy to do that. Was there no security at the Yellow House? Or, any other person besides the Pac-President? Literally nobody? Not even a chef? Huh, okay. So now that Phase 1 was a success, they move on to Phase 2, where they send a message to Pac-Man to make the Pac-Presidential exchange happen. Why Pac-Man? Well, he is the security chief for the Power Forest, so he is the one to get this information from. But Pac-Man has other plans. His plan is to break into the Yellow House and confront the ghosts. That's it? Oh goodness, eh? Not a well thought through plan, as Pac-Man quickly and bravely runs away. But not really runs away, right? It is part of his plan. He makes a balloon decoy of himself, and when the ghosts are all distracted by this thing, Pac-Man frees the Pac-President and gives him his last power pellet. So yay, oh, nope, not looking good still, because the ghosts turn the tables. Now it's Pinky's turn to turn into a balloon as he lifts the Yellow House away. If Pac-Man won't tell them where the Power Forest is, well, Pinky will drop the house, which will doom the 2 inhabitants of the house. Wait a second. Didn't Pac-Man give the Pac-President a power pellet so, he could go and, chomp all these ghosts and end the problem right here and now? No, that would make too much sense. So sadly, Pac-Man has no choice, and he tells Mezmeron where the Power Forest is. But more table turning! The location was a trap! Another decoy! A bunch of the Pac people from Pac-Land have eaten a bunch of power pellets and are now attacking Mezmeron with their mouths. Ugh, gross. Now that Mezmeron is out of commission, Pac-Man, Pepper Pac-Man, and Pac-President turn their attention to the ghosts. They all get fueled up with some power pellets and go to town going chompy chompy on the ghosty ghosties, where eventually Mezmeron and all of the ghost eyeballs retreat from Pac-Land, so the day is saved! Hooray! the bad guys are driven away, the Pac-President is saved, and Pac-Man and Pepper head home. And with that is the end of this Pac-Tale.
So, yeah, hey, like, not too shabby of a cartoon. Very whimsical and very 80s, you know, so, like, it totally checks out. And I do like the whole premise of it, you know, for two reasons. One, I've always been a fan of the Pac-Man games, and I played them actually quite a bit. Although, if I'm being honest, I actually played a lot more of a Pac-Man clone game called Mousetrap on the old Atari. That game, hey, so good, but still basically Pac-Man. But for this cartoon, the other reason I like it is because I am a major Ghostbuster fan, and Pac-Man is pretty much the original video game Ghostbuster. There are so many different ways to bust a ghost, right? Like, you can use proton packs and traps. You can use a ghost dematerializer and other kind of stuff. Or you can just eat their bodies. And yeah, hey, like, eating a ghost, like, how many calories is a ghost? Also, how many calories is a power pellet? Man, the way Pac-Man chomps all these things down, like, I'm starting to become concerned about his dietary health, eh? And for the main villain of the episode, hey, or I guess the main villain of the series, the dude is pretty menacing, he has a plan, and he knows what he wants. But is it just me, or is he visually like a pretty cheap knockoff of Darth Vader? Kind of looks like him, right? Like he's got the cloak and all that kind of stuff. He's got the breathing apparatus. He just doesn't have a shiny helmet, but he does have a shiny bald head, I guess. Kinda yes, kind of no. The only thing that's really odd about this show is the availability of the power pellets. It's like complete feast or famine. And I don't get it, right? Like, how can you have an overabundance of power pellets to the point where you have hundreds of them in a vending machine that you can easily access, and then, in the next breath, absolutely have no power pellets, you know? Especially if ghosts are chasing you down the whole time, right? Like, you should have, like, a Batman belt, you know, full of these power pellets ready to go, because, like, you never know when you're gonna need them. It's like if you go for a walk in the forest, you should probably bring bear spray, you know? These things are just common sense. But still, I tell you, a pretty good episode, and if you haven't seen it before, I would suggest you do, especially if you love these classic video games. But speaking of that, we do have some more behind the scenes kind of things, you know, with Pac-Man, with Miss Pac-Man, and all that kind of stuff going on over here.
So yes indeed, hey? Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. So let us take a tiptoe through the time tulips and see how these characters came to be. To where we traveled to Japan in the 1970s in the offices of Namco, a video game producing company. Game developer Turo Iwatani started making a couple games for Namco under the GB title, which had some, you know, decent success, I guess. Really got their foot in the door, but like anybody, he wanted to make that one crowning achievement, right? So he started to look at video games in the arcade to kind of get some inspiration and stuff, and what he's seen were a bunch of games that were, you know, kind of violent, or, well, maybe not violent, you know, but like aggressive. Violent would be a game like Doom, you know? Oh, great game, you know, but holy jeez, eh? But, you know, for the games of his time, like, say, Space Invaders or Breakout or whatnot, like Space Invaders, you're shooting at a bunch of aliens who are coming to attack you. In Breakout, you're aggressively smashing a whole bunch of bricks. In Pong, you're a stick that is beating up a square, I guess, you know? And he also noticed that these games were being primarily played by a bunch of younger boys. So he started to think, you know, what if, just hear me out, what if I created a game that wasn't really violent or aggressive and wasn't just targeted to young boys? Like, it could also be targeted to younger girls or even adults, you know? Anyone could play this game. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Really make a game that's appealing to everybody? That should generate a whole lot of success. So he started working on a peaceful, relaxing game where you're being chased by ghosts that chase you down faster and faster. Wait a second, that doesn't sound peaceful and relaxing. Nonetheless, he started to work on it. So as I say, with the ghosts, being the main antagonists chasing you down, he figured ghosts would be pretty good in that role because in television and cartoons and whatnot at the time, ghosts generally were considered, the villains. Sure, there were a handful of happy-go-lucky ghosts hither and thither, but didn't happen a lot. So ghosts as the villain in this game, beauty. So the 4 ghosts were nicknamed Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Their actual names were Shadow, Speedy, Bashful, and Pokey, which gave you an idea of how these ghosts were programmed to chase Pac-Man around. The choice for using ghosts was also because a basic ghost shape would be easy to produce in these old clunky video game graphics at the time. Also for an easy look with the clunky graphics would be the protagonist of the game. Iwatani was inspired by a pizza that was missing a slice. And he thought, man, look at that, like a freaking circle that's just eating everything. That would be pretty easy to produce in a video game. Even though the character looked like this on the side of the arcade, that ain't no circle eating stuff. That's practically nightmare fuel. Also with eating, there is a Japanese phrase of paku paku tabaru, which, as I've been told, is a phrase meaning to just gobble something down pretty quick, right? Kinda like nowadays we have that phrase, nom 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 nom. Something similar, at least, anyway. So with that, he decided to call this character Pac-Man. But he realized, that really would not translate well in, like, the North American market. So he figured, well, if this character kind of looks like the shape of a hockey puck, then we should call him Puck-Man. But then he also realized that there's another word in North America that sounds like puck, and you could easily change the letter P to an F on the side of an arcade game, so that might not be good. So he changed the character's name to Pac-Man. To really make this game more appealing, he gave each character very vibrant and bright colors. Pac-Man is a bright yellow. The ghosts are bright colors as well. Everything's on a black background, which helps everything kind of pop really well. So things were really coming together. He also figured, the ghost chasing down Pac-Man, that's cool and all, but Pac-Man should be able to fight back. He was inspired by Popeye, the Sailor Man, who would eat spinach, get all strong, and beat the crap out of Bluto, so maybe this Pac-Man should have something similar. So he came up with the concept of the Power Pellets. Every time Pac-Man eats one of those, same thing, right? Super strong, beats up the ghosts. Puts all of that stuff together, and boom! Pac-Man was released to the world in 1980. And holy crap, right? Like, this Pac-Man game was massive! One of the biggest arcade games ever released! And like, still to this day, man, this game is freaking popular! Every arcade was filled with Pac-Man games, the merchandising was starting to fly, so much so that of course you would get a sequel to this video game. But you gotta make the game a little different, right? And so with that, in 1982, they released Ms. Pac-Man, which a lot of people say is the superior game. For one, you had 4 different mazes that you play in, the screen is more kind of bright and vibrant, and a bit of a story of Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man as they're building their lives and their family. Pretty cool though, right? The only other difference would be with the ghosts. The orange ghost, instead of being Clyde, is now Sue. So with 2 incredibly popular and like amazing games, of course you're gonna market the heck out of this stuff, right? So ABC and Hanna-Barbera came calling and said, yep, we would like to make a cartoon series about your game. To which they did. And to where we get caught up with our featured episode. There will be other Pac-Man games with other Pac-Man characters that are featured in this series, but we'll get to those characters when we get to those episodes. Although for this cartoon series, it is interesting to note that the place that they live in, Pac-Land, was the inspiration for a 1984 game called Pac-Land, which was made specifically because of the success of this cartoon series, and because Pac-Land in the cartoon just looks so frickin' awesome. But for this episode, we do have some interesting characters, such as the villainous Mezmeron, the Ghost Wizard, who was created for this TV series, and only appears in this TV series. He did not cross over into any games or anything else. And we also have the president of Pac-Land, Pac-President. With a name like that, he was pretty much destined to be president, I guess, eh? So the Pac-President lives in the Yellow House, which is obviously a reference to the White House, home of the President of the United States. And it's kind of interesting that this Pac-President did have a striking resemblance to former US President Theodore Roosevelt, or maybe even former President Grover Cleveland. Probably more Teddy than anything, right? But that's pretty much the skinny on Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, how they came to be in the video game world, in the cartoon world, and man, really pretty much like literally everywhere else, right? So that's pretty groovy, but that's where we shall leave things for now. So with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's it. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics. And currently, I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density. And recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastomorph, with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel and some links at the end of the video. Yeah! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.